This book, it and it was so difficult to even try to narrow down questions because honestly, every single page um, could require a question. It could give an opportunity for you to expound, or even in going back reading certain parts for our conversation today, I sat there going, "Wait a minute, but I know I read this,"
Wow.
or what? How do I even ask this? So I don't know how we're gonna bring it all in. I have many questions, and one thing that I'm really glad about is when I'm asking questions, it's not just for viewers to be helped.
Okay.
Marcy wants to be able to actually use the recipe.
Wow.
Each time I look, and whether it's a scripture that you expound upon or just an idea that you introduce, I'm going, how in the world? And I find myself reading over and over. So it's a book that it's not that it's a difficult read, it is a thoughtful read. It's like you have to go back and chew on it again and again.
Wow.
It is something that I honestly believe could be read daily for the rest of my life.
Wow.
And I still find pieces that I had not found before. It's almost like it's doing an invisible work, that it is unlocking chambers or opening doors, and then the next day something comes up and you get to revisit the room. So I'm grateful to you for having put the work out here. It is one thing for something to change your life. It's another thing to chronicle it so that others' lives can be changed.
Yeah.
And so I thank you for that. At the very beginning of the book, you talk about that it is for game changers and force multipliers.
multipliers, yes.
Okay, so in my mind, I'm going, okay. And then I'm like, hold on a minute. So what is that? I feel like I know what a game changer is, but then when you talk about force multipliers, so talk about both those things, because force multiplier is actually somewhat of a new term to me,
Okay.
and I don't want to just glaze over it like, oh, I know. I want to know.
Well, these are uncommon people that refuse to allow the dictations of life to dictate their life. They live in a force of change and such a readiness of mind that they're willing to take each of their challenges and turn them into experiences that lend credence to success, achievement, accomplishment. They don't cower for any reason. All of us go through something. We're always facing something.
Yes.
Some of us, we cower from the challenges we face as if there's not grace or gall in us to deal with those things in readiness. Mm-hmm. But they've learned how to channel their thinking into a process that manufactures from, let's say, the rubbish of the skirmish of things that's happening in their lives. They use that stuff to turn it into something that otherwise would not have existed in their lives. It's sort of like David in the Bible saying, it was good that I was afflicted. In other words, something came out of my afflictions that I did not have access to prior to that happening to me. So force multipliers and game changers are people who deal with the common nuance of life as the majority of us do, but they don't cower. They turn their trouble into triumph. They turn their problems into privileges. They turn, you see, their mistakes into masterpieces. And that's basically what the book is all about. Not running from the situation, the offense, the challenge, the difficulty, the disease, the stress, seeing it as an opportunity and not so much as an opposition.
Okay. Even as you were talking, because even, and I'm glad you explained it, because the great thinking, you think of it, I immediately, I guess, thought of it from the head. But the way you just explained it, it's really more from the experience. Because the experience is what gives you that opportunity to, and as you were talking about the distress or the affliction, or it felt like building material for a better life.
There you go. That's well said. Now, that actually, someone said we have to be aware of our thoughts. These game changers and force multipliers are people who live in the conscious awareness of their thoughts. They've taken the time, Marcey, to literally do what 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verses 3 through 5 says. And not for it to become just biblical, but though we walk in the flesh, we do not war through the flesh. The weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God to the pulling down. They've pulled down strongholds. They've learned how to cast down imaginations and every high thing that exalt itself against the knowledge of God. They've literally learned how to tame a thought, to capture it, and turn it into something that works for their advancement. And it's really just a companion to the Old Testament language that God uses in Joshua 1:8, when he teaches Joshua how to deal with timidity. That principle works with disease. It works with financial problems. It works with practically every kind of problem that you and I can face. Joshua 1:8. It's just that most people do not set aside enough time to learn the faculty of thinking and the potentiality that it offers us for owning our lives.
Yes, sir.